Hello, Internet! I'm Elliot the Purple Artifice, and welcome to Buddy Reads, where I read a small selection of a book and review it for you. Today, we are continuing our journey through Wolves of the Calla by Stephen King, and we are finishing the story Todash. I hope you've read up to that point because I do not want to ruin anything for you. This section continues the meeting between the Pilgrims and Callahan's group, and how they're all kind of doing more, what's the word? Doing more exposition on the world, how mutants grow, and how kids are being taken away and turned into mutants, and how they're coming back by train. My mind just kind of goes in and out while reading this, because it kind of hits that dead end. You know me, I love plot, and this is not a whole lot of plot at this moment. There is a moment where Eddie is off using the tree line, like most people use the facilities. He's pooping, okay? He's pooping. And the robot Andy comes up behind him and tells him not to use a certain patch of leaves because that would be very bad for his butt. Andy asks if Eddie would like his horoscope. Hey, I said it right. Woo! Eddie says sure. And of course the horoscope is garbage. Then Andy gives him some advice about going back to New York. And he says to hold the people that he holds dear close to him. Eddie's like, okay. And then he asks about the wolves. Andy sort of goes into this whole... He goes full robot. He says, I need a password. Of course, Eddie doesn't have a password. He finds out that all the information on the wolves is restricted, so he's not going to get any information on what the wolves are about. And he goes back and he talks with the people and he explains the whole situation to Roland. Roland actually has to sit down with him to talk about, what's going on in their lives. And Eddie's like, it feels right but wrong at the same time. I don't know what the exact word is for it. And Roland says, well, just say the first thing that comes into your mind. And Eddie says, it feels just so 19. And I'm like, come on. 19 is not a thing. You're trying just way too hard at this moment, Steven. Just let it go. Susanna and Jake show up with a bunch of muffin balls, and I think they're going to eat them and get high and kind of try and force the Todash to happen. And that's exactly what happens. They eat them, they go to sleep, and Roland relives a moment where he lost, I believe it was Cuthbert, one of his friends. He lost him in a battle on the way to the Dark Tower, and he just relives that moment of losing his friend, and it's like, well, that sucks. And then he wakes up in New York, and when he wakes up in New York, he finds Susanna. And Susanna has both of her legs back. And she's walking around on both of her legs and she can't be happier. And Roland believes that there is something wrong with this situation. Roland thinks that this is not exactly Susanna, Odetta that he is talking to. Roland believes that this is Mia, the devilish altar inside of her that is, eating the live animals that I was telling you about last video. That's who he believes this is. Jake and Eddie show up, and Eddie notices Susanna with her legs, and he says, oh, you're an inch taller than me. And I'm like, hot. Wow. And they start going around New York City, and they get to the area where the Rose is. Susanna doesn't want to go into the vacant lot where the Rose is, and so she stays behind, and she uses the logic that she has bare feet and doesn't want to cut her brand new feet. And everyone's like, okay, we understand that. And the three boys go over while she sits there with Oi. And they go and they look at the Rose, and it shines a bright light in their eyes, and they see a whole bunch of visions of people from different Stephen King books. And it's just him trying to force this into the Stephen King mythology, and I'm just kind of like, okay. There's even a moment when they're walking around New York where they're trying to bring logic into the how fast is time moving in this world compared to the world that they are actually in, and it still doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. Stop trying to make it make sense, Steven. You're just ruining the book for me right now. But Susanna stays back while they're all looking at the bright light and experiencing the joy. And while she's staying back, she sees this woman, and this woman is extremely pale, and she has no eyes, and she has a worm crawling across her bottom lip, and this woman is dead. And so Susanna is scared for her life. And then she sees another guy, completely naked, pale as a sheet. You know, his chest cut open like he had an autopsy. And he's dead. And so she freaks out and she calls for the boys to come back, and they come running back to her. Roland explains that, you know, of course we're going to see dead people. We're in the Todash. Whatever that means. And they see a woman who was crushed by a car accident. And one of the great lines is like, eyes like squished grapes. And I was like, ooh, that's good. And then the Todash calls them back into Midworld. Our pilgrims wake up. Susanna is sitting there before she sees the dead people, and she loses her lower legs in a 7-minute gap of time that is just kind of a blink of an eye for her. It makes an illusion that maybe it was Mia that had the legs and Mia left when they got close to the rose because she was afraid of the rose. So that's why Susanna is sitting there with no legs anymore. And Susanna starts to realize that she has another altar, and she starts freaking out because she thought she was whole, but now she isn't. But our pilgrims wake up in Midworld. Jake and Eddie have a bowling bag between them, and it says something like, putting down strikes in Midworld. Jake says, this is my bowling bag, but that wording isn't right. It's supposed to be Midtown, not Midworld. Roland's kind of like, well, that's the Todash for you. And it's just kind of like a whole, like, sitcom ending to the story. And it's just like, wow. Now I'm starting to think that this might be the book that's supposed to take place in New York, only it's doing half and half, and that's disappointing, because I want, like, an entire book in New York. And if they're just gonna do the Todash stuff and do like a chapter in New York and a chapter in Midworld, that's not an entire book in New York. Ah, bummer. Next video, we will be covering the first, I believe it's 3 chapters? Yes, the first 3 chapters of the next story. I only mention that because it is 96 pages, nearly 100 pages. So I want to give you a heads up so that you read all of those before I ruin them for you in the next video. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe to me and click that little bell thingy so that you know when I'm putting out new videos. Give my video a like to let me know that you liked it, or give me a comment letting me know that you liked it, or give me a comment letting me know that you hated it, or give me a comment letting me know that you liked me, give me a comment letting me know that you hated me, give me a comment letting me know that you wanted to see more of me, or give me a comment that you just kind of hate my face. I don't know, you jerk. Any one of those things will make me happy. I've been Alec the Purple Hair Doofus. This has been Buddy Reads, reminding you to watch your pajama radius, and I will see you all in the next chapters of Wolves of the Calla by Stephen King. Toodles!